Hello and welcome to my work. I'm a self-published author, mom survivor, and coach. I'm a strategy partner with moms who are required to co-parent with a narcissistic ex or stuck in a custody battle with a narcissist. Welcome to my work. I feel motivated and inspired to make this video about protecting your child from all of the warfare, the nonsense, the insanity, and the disorder that goes with all the personality disordered narcissistic tactics and tricks and traps. It can be very dysfunctional, complicated, and the children are caught in the middle of this. And there are ways to protect and buffer the child or your child if you have some type of custody, some type of contact, if you're the full custodial parent or you lost custody like me and had to go win it back. This is really tough work that I do. So I do this part-time and I am a full-time mom. And if you know my story, I lost to my narcissistic ex in family court in 2020, had to stage a comeback, get new legal guidance, use a lot of the tips, tools, and strategies that I now teach. And I wrote 5 books through the experience so that I could help other moms who have to go through this know that they're not alone and point to some of the best wisdom that I used, which might be helpful for you in your family. So there are ways to buffer, boundary, protect children mentally, emotionally, psychologically, spiritually, physically in this situation. But you can feel very helpless and hopeless, especially if family court fails you and fails at protecting the children. And what I tell moms is that I don't see the US family courts in the business of child abuse and child neglect prevention. They seem to be in the business of granting parental rights, even though they have best interest factors and standard practices they're supposed to follow. So, family courts did fail me, but like I always say, you don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Sometimes family courts get it right and it's the way to go. Other times, you want to learn my skillful means, strategies, and methods or my castle and curtain and learn to negotiate with the narcissist and stop being the narcissist's target of blame or the enemy to destroy in your ex's mind. So, my books can maybe help you uh, with some of the tips that I offer, but I want to talk about ways to protect your child. How, where, when? Can you? Is it even possible? Do you want to protect them from everything and shelter them, or do you want them to get a little taste and make their own decisions of somebody that's toxic? There's toxic people in the world. They do need coping strategies. They have to strengthen. A struggle does make us stronger, but too much abuse, too much neglect, too much control can disempower children and traumatize them for their life. So, just a full disclaimer, I am not a therapist. So, my views on child welfare and well being and health are just my views as a mom survivor of a family court battle for 12 years and a mother stuck in this situation. So, this is not direct advice. Pause this and read that these are just my thoughts and opinions, and I'm not a qualified mental health expert. I'm not a lawyer, and none of this is direct advice for you and your child. So follow your doctors, therapists, counselors, lawyers' advice, as well as your own good common sense and intuition and your unique case to see if my tips and my story, my survivor wisdom, my shared survivor wisdom can be helpful. And child custody situations may vary where some of what I say is not even applicable for your circumstance. And further, your court orders might dictate otherwise. So please use your own good judgment when listening or watching this video. It's for personal self-help only. I call this story medicine, and it's just created from my own lived experience. It's not based on any laws or rules of the court. And all of what I write is copyright protected. So don't sell or distribute or quote without my consent as an author. So take what you like and leave the rest. I always say, if you're willing to learn, ready to learn, and do the work, I'm here to teach, coach, and mentor. Learn all you can, because knowledge is power. My background is loving and leaving an alcoholic who I had no idea was personality disordered at the time, and learned that he was a covert narcissist through just my own investigations. And I write and speak in a pen name to protect all involved, because while labels and diagnoses can be very helpful for finding a solution or treatment, it can be very damaging. So I went on to fight in family court and was required, I say forced, to co-parent with a narcissist. And there was no co-parenting at first. It was all parallel parenting. So my first book is Co-Parenting with a Narcissist, 7 Self-Rules to Stay Sane. I was out-lawyered in family court, outmaneuvered by the lies and the tactics, and lost my legal rights in 2020. Then I went on to write How to Fight a Narcissist in Family Court and Win, Super Smart Strategies for Success. These are survivor stories loaded with tips and insights. I say learn, heal, and outgrow the narcissist. Definitely grow through this experience. Come out of this smarter and stronger before I did. If you want to learn more about me, read some free blogs. You can go to my website, www.gracewolson.com. My third book in my series for moms is Co-Parenting with a Sociopath, Survival Insanity Guide. Again, more of my survivor wisdom. And sometimes just knowing you're not alone in this and that someone actually came out and survived it can be very helpful and encouraging to keep you going. So I support the motivated, loving, caring mom who aims to be the healthy parent and put child's needs and safety first. I'm not teaching you how to beat or destroy or defeat or slay or hurt the narcissist or win against the narcissist, even though that book does have a win in it. It talks about being careful about the word win. So my fourth book is How to Survive a Custody Battle with a Narcissist When the Family Courts Force You to Co-Parent. These are all available on Amazon. Support me as a self-published author. I say be willing to learn the lesson, label it, and change what you can. And I'm going to talk about a very big lesson I learned today. So stay tuned for this. My newest book is Tame the Narcissist, 10 Keys for Better Co-Parenting to Create Peace and Protection Using Strategy and Skillful Means. So learn some strategies, gain some skills, and pick up that new book. But I always say read my books in order 1 through 5 to get the full view of how I progressed in what I had to go through. So if you are forced to co-parent with a narcissist or stuck in a high conflict custody battle, you might want to learn to skillfully navigate around the narcissist. Sometimes you can't get children's needs met through the narcissist. So I'm going to share with you my posts that I post to the moms of my private Facebook book page. There used to be support groups. They're more educational groups, and they are meant to be book clubs, because we can't give each other direct advice, and we certainly don't want to be posting with our real name that any details or thoughts or opinions that could be used against us in our family court later down the line. So I help everyone on my group remain anonymous and to be careful about what is posted on social media. So here's some of the social media posts, if you're not part of that group, that can really help you see some of the wisdom I'm sharing. So a SUR-THRIVER tip: and just know that the truth is not safe with a liar. They can twist the truth. They can gaslight you, deny the truth, make you think your truth isn't real. There's so much a narcissist with a personality disorder who's a master manipulator can do. So this is just a common fact to know that a child's truth isn't generally safe with a liar. So I ask moms, are you asking your narcissistically abused child to tell the narcissist their truth? I made this mistake. Be mindful that children are vulnerable and narcissists abusers abuse. So if this is applicable, seek support, expert wisdom, maybe seek your parental rights and your child's rights through the family court. That's a maybe. If he's not in the picture, you may not want to open that can of worms. Find a competent attorney who can represent you or at least give you legal guidance and advice. So when you're dealing with law, If you don't have a law degree, even lawyers have lawyers, okay? So if you don't know family court in and out, you haven't been there for 20 years seeing court cases and a paralegal, it's really wise to get legal guidance on a family court, someone who knows your judge, someone who's been practicing family court custody battles for years. You don't want to get legal advice from your tax attorney. So when you're protecting your child, their mind, their body, their spirit, their emotions. You want to also protect their truth. So many of us have asked our kids to tell their father if they got hurt, to tell their father to stop. Big mistakes on my part. This all backfired, and I talk about the things that happened in my case where I needed to transition to being a parent who could handle hearing things that then traumatized me, that was traumatizing my child. I had to become the safe parent, be able to listen without reacting and jumping into action. I had to carefully consider and strategize with my child's therapist. I had to get my child a therapist where she could speak the truth to a man, a male figure, and wasn't shut down. So be careful about telling your child to go tell the truth to someone who lives a lie. I mean, it's just wisdom. So, if this is applicable to you, if this resonates with you, maybe sit and think about what that means. Talk it over with your DV counselor. I had a team of 10, and I shared that moms need to get a support system in place and really think things through. But I recently had a private client who was encouraging their child to use their voice, and I did that too. And that backfired because our child was under the care and really held hostage by the narcissist, her father, for many years. And it wasn't safe, nor the time or the place to do that. So it backfired and led to a lot of anguish and grief and suffering. And we obviously want to minimize suffering, minimize childhood trauma as best we can. So we have to become wise to what are we doing? Are we setting our child up for failure because we want our child to tell the truth that we can't say? We have to make sure we're not trying to get our child to save our custody case where we really need more legal money or lawyers or legal advice or a different lawyer. Just check in and make sure you're not hoping that your child tells a mandated reporter something and that helps your custody case, or that's your only hope for winning your rights back or your child back. It may not happen. Every case is different. So, take what you like and leave the rest. But just be cautious and careful of putting your 5, 6, 7 year old up against their father and hoping that they save themselves from a narcissistic parent when they're a vulnerable child. I also say don't pit or put your child against an abusive narcissist. Um, Obvious little typo here. Need a little wisdom that's just kind of talking about what are we doing as moms? Are we telling our child to shut down a liar, go up against an abuser? We have to make sure we're not doing this, pitting our child against an abusive, manipulative narcissist, because when you poke somebody toxic, toxic comes out. And what I tell moms is don't back a porcupine up into a corner while you're naked and a child is very vulnerable. If we're not in the room, we don't know what's happening. We don't know how they're being treated. So if the narcissist has unsupervised parenting time, empowering our children to use their voice and tell people to stop and um, claim their rights against an adult is not wise. I've made that mistake. So just be careful if that's something you're doing. Check with your child's therapist, check your motives, check your heart, check with your therapist, because you certainly don't want to put a child against an abuser, thinking that they can just shine the light of truth and stand up for themselves and not be shut down. Think about that. I always tell moms one of our SUR-THRIVER tips is to take a child-centered path, not be narcissist focused. It's tempting to engage with the narcissist, which tends to mistakenly lead us to be other parent focused. Don't do that. Put your time and energy into your child or your healing. You might want to read the best interest factors of your country or your state, print them, put them in the front of your binder as I teach in how to prepare for family court. Focus on your child's needs, health, and safety, and don't get tricked into focusing too much on the narcissist. And that is a trap, an energetic trap. You'll lose all your energy dealing with an unfair person. And I say to moms, if expect to get unfairness dealing with an unfair person. A little self-reflection question I have moms of my group ask is your child at a double disadvantage? Are you a loving mom in severe emotional trauma while the father is an abusive narcissist? That puts the child in a terrible situation because they need one healthy parent, and at least one healthy parent. So self-healing work is some of the most important work we will ever do. Our healing or lack of affects our children both directly and indirectly. And so I have you ask this question: are you inadvertently harming your child or your custody case with your reactionary trauma responses? It's very wise to pause, get expert help, talk it through with a mentor, somebody that's guiding you, somebody that knows all the details of your case. Because if you just go to one person who knows very little and ask for an opinion, it might not be helpful. It actually could be harmful. Everything has to be taken into account and factored in when being advised, which is why a family court lawyer who knows your entire situation, getting legal advice from them is the best. So seek support, continue or start healing, and find help and get a team. Aim to be the healthy parent. That's the bottom line. And we can do this as moms, and that offers a layer of protection for the children. Our self-healing work is some of the most important work we will ever do. And we can aim to be healthy, grounded, centered, sane. We have to keep our sanity in the midst of the insanity. Another piece of survivor wisdom is stay above or completely out of the narcissist nonsense. So if they're with somebody else, who cares? If you want to document it, document it. If the person is dangerous, if you want to do a background check, see what your lawyer says. See how important that is, because if you spend all your time on the narcissist, you won't have any time left for you, your work, your child, your finances. And I say, don't be engaged in the nonsense of a narcissist. Engaging in an ego battle tends to mistakenly lead us to be other parent focused and often causes more injustice and unfairness to us and our child. Do put your time, energy, attention into your child. Read those best interest factors, focus on your child's needs, and the wisdom says just stay out and away from the nonsense of the narcissist. You can't make sense out of nonsense, is what I tell people. So stop trying to understand. You know that it's a personality disorder. They're pathologically jealous. They're naturally a competitive parent. I don't recommend going up against them yourself, even. I talk about the use of skillful means so that you're not putting yourself against the narcissist or creating an enemy. Ask the right questions. How might you make a bad situation a bit better when co-parenting with a narcissist? I asked this question, and that meant being cooperative, flexible, civil, kind. Didn't call him on all of his bad stuff. I let the courts consequence him. I diverted who is actually issuing the consequences so that it wasn't me. Focus on this question for a little bit. Refrain from asking questions that lead to frustration, like how to teach the narcissist a lesson or how to get a narcissist to do something you want. There's a way to navigate around the narcissist to get children's needs met, most of the time. But if you're asking the narcissist to do all your childcare while you're at work, you're relying on the narcissist paying child support to survive. All of that could set you up for failure, especially if you anger the narcissist and they want to punish, retaliate, or seek revenge on you, which is typical. So becoming independent is one of the best ways, finding resources, getting those supports in place. It's not forever. Children will grow up, become adults. We will be set free of having to interact with a co-parent. So check out this question, go inside and see what answers come up for you and run it through your DV counselor, your therapist. How can you be part of the solution rather than part of the problem? I have a basics video course, Navigate Around the Narcissist, where I talk about the narcissist having tricks and tactics and traps and manipulations, but we can have strategies, skills, and self rules. That's rules we put with ourselves. We have the ability to change, endure, survive, adapt, navigate, love ourselves and our children, and we can grow. So you can check out that link below for my basics course, or come to my website, read my blog. I talk about having a co-parenting situation that's civil, friendly, cooperative, so the children can have their activities, medical care, health care, a therapist. So you can like and subscribe to this video channel. Some of my blogs offer you my best power tools, like my 20 wants list. Focus on that, not what he's doing lately or saying lately. Have a strategy around this. There's a lot of grief when dealing with a narcissist and watching our children suffer narcissistic abuse that we escaped. And then there's post-separation abuse. So you may not have fully escaped narcissistic abuse if you're being abused legally, or what I call co-parenting abuse. There's ways to gray wall out or castle and curtain. There's ways to document. There's pillars of support that you can put in place. So knowledge is power. Your education is key. You can check out my Spotify to listen to some of these short things. But the thing about children is, when there is childhood trauma, it can affect them lifelong. So how do we protect our children from more childhood trauma? Well, one of them is to not blow our court case or ruin our custody case with reactions, trying to go it alone, do it ourselves, not seeking support or guidance. Strategies need to be in place, several. Thinking, that we're too proud to ask for help, or we can't afford a lawyer, not looking at free legal aid, can affect our children because we are not properly represented, and our rights as a parent aren't being upheld. So having a strong legal front can really stop an advance from a narcissist. Having leverage can stop that. Having skillful means can lead to negotiation. Having a knowledge of skillful means and actually practicing it can help. So if you want to learn more about the adverse childhood experience, or the ACEs, you can look them up on the CDC. Limiting the amount of trauma to a child can really help them lifelong. So we don't want to mistakenly do things that put our child in the path of an abuser. I guess that's the bottom line. And sometimes we do it not realizing we're making that mistake. So check this out, or pause this to read some more. It's on the cdc.gov. And this is a study that's quoted by professionals when they go into contested custody cases. So prevention is the best. I say a pound or an ounce of prevention is better than pounds and pounds of pain. So if you can prevent childhood abuse and trauma by getting them minimal time with an abuser, letting them learn coping strategies, letting them have safe places to vent and share the truth, not advising them because you're in trauma and you can't speak the truth. Just create that stable, safe, nurturing relationship with your child, and have an environment that really does support the child's health and well-being. It's obvious. I'm just stating the facts that you know. So Thank you for watching. Remember this question: how can you make a bad situation a bit better? Well, certainly focusing on punishing your ex can just lead to more of a war. If you want peace, you have to think peace, aim for peace, make your goal peace. And that peace can help you move from surviving to thriving. And so that's my SUR-THRIVER wisdom. We were merely surviving until I stepped into the power of peace and getting those allies and that team of support. So I hope you and your children can take something from this and better any bad situation you're going through. So thanks so much for watching. Remember to like and subscribe.